St. Marie's going to run it. He's going to get some blocking, and he is in! 11-yard touchdown run for Bowdoin St. Marie, and the Griffins have the lead.
Live on the Westmoreland Sports Network, this is Westmoreland on the Gridiron, powered by Bowser. Here's your hosts, Sean Myers and Dan Flickinger.
And welcome into another episode of Westmoreland on the Gridiron here on the Westmoreland Sports Network. Wednesday, 7 p.m. You know the time and place by now, westmorelandsports.com. Sean Myers, Dan Flickinger, as always. And Flick, we've got a lot to get to tonight. We will have all the scores from week 3, the top performers as well. We will have our always popular plays of the week segment. We will talk to a couple of Browns. Our coach of the week.
Not Cleveland Browns.
No. No Myles Garrett. No Bernie Kosar on this show. It will be Mike Brown, the head coach of the Norwood Knights. And our player of the week is Kimani Brown, the star quarterback for the Jeanette Jayhawks. So we'll hear from both of them. And a week 4 preview with even more teams getting into conference play this upcoming Friday. But we'll start with some pretty significant conference openers this past week, and I begin with the game that you were at, Greensburg Central Catholic, Clairton. We thought the Bears would probably be favored, but could GCC hang? Well, the answer, at least the first time around, was no, as the Bears win 43-0. And this, to me, was a championship caliber performance for Clairton. And on the GCC side, the second year in a row that I think they were kind of a little disappointing matching up against the best of the best in their conference.
Man, Clairton is really, really good. I mean, they did exactly what they wanted to do, whatever they wanted to do in the game. Jeff Thompson was unbelievable. Threw for 3 touchdowns, 288 yards in the game, only threw 5 incompletions. And they absolutely just dominated Greensburg Central Catholic. I mean, it was as dominant as a performance as you can have. And, going in, as you mentioned, Sean, like we talked about on the show last week, we thought that Clairton was favored. But, if GCC could – get Crosby open a little bit, hit some splash plays, and maybe they could stay in it. But going back even to the first drive, GCC's defense did a pretty good job of keeping Clairton behind the sticks. They just couldn't get off the field on 4th down. I think Clairton had a 3rd down and long, and then they made it 4th down and 9 on their opening drive, and they converted the 4th down. And I remember saying to our cameraman, Ricky Pitzer, at that point, I'm like, man, if GCC can't get off the field on a 4th down and 9, they're going to have trouble winning the game. And, Clairton, I think, scored on 7 of their first 8 possessions or something like that. And so it was just absolutely dominance. Samir Crosby, who obviously is a great player, they held him in check. He only had just a couple of catches for 34 yards. They tried to get the running game going, couldn't do that. Smith Noski was sacked a couple of times. So Clairton's defense was on point too. It was just a dominating performance, and I think it was more what Clairton is than what GCC isn't, if that makes sense. It wasn't necessarily what GCC didn't do in the game. It was what Clairton did. They're just unbelievable and a big surprise, right?
I would also speculate that having their game kind of pulled from the rug pulled from underneath them the prior week, they were probably a little ticked off as well, right? Remember, they were supposed to play Shady Side Academy, which, by the way, Shady Side is a pretty good 2A school. The matchup didn't happen. The Bears got an unexpected week off, and it seemed like there was some maybe pent-up frustration and anger that carried over from that. This is a team that, as crazy as it sounds, they might not be the favorite in Class 1A, but we're seeing, as the kids say now, there's levels to this. GCC is a very good team in 1A, but the level that Clairton is at is clearly at this point above where the Centurions is at.
Yeah, I think Coach Wade said that after the game. He's like, hey, Greensburg Central Catholic's a good team. And then I think he said something like, we're a really good team. So, I mean, it's just that level. Obviously Jeanette and Clairton will play soon. Is Jeanette at that level? We'll find out. But, I mean, it was, again, just they look the part, man. They're big up front. They got some big bodies up front. John Bainbridge did color on the game with Dave Franzak, and he was like, man, I really like this left tackle, so he's looking at the line play, and it was, again, they're just really, really good, and it'll be interesting, when they get down the line against Jeanette, if they end up playing Fort Cherry at some point, so we'll see what happens.
Well, they have a terrific football tradition, do the Bears, as does Woodland Hills, and the Wolverines had that on full display. They got a crucial victory in the Class 5A Big East Conference opener, 49-21 at the Wolverina against Penn Trafford. And I talked to John Ruane before the game. He said this was one of the most crucial special teams games during his entire tenure coaching Penn Trafford. They allowed 2 kick return scores, both to Scoop Smith. The first one was very controversial. To be completely honest, it looked like a forward lateral because it was not Smith initially, but it was pitched to him. When the other player was about to be tackled, it looked like the ball went forward, but it stood for a touchdown. And then he had a more traditional return. There were 4 touchdowns in 40 seconds, but ultimately Woodland Hills, I think, was pretty clearly the better team. They forced 3 takeaways, and then their running game, and Taylor Reed in particular, he was incredible, went for 171 yards and 3 touchdowns. So Penn Trafford, kind of the same spot that the Warriors are in last year. They fall to Woodland Hills. They can still win out, but the likelihood is they probably will not be a conference champion this year.
Yeah, I don't see, I mean, quite honestly, I know anything can happen any given week, but I don't see anybody else in this conference upending Woodland Hills. You know, in the past, there was a Gateway that could come out and beat Woodland Hills, but it looks like Gateway is down this year, you know, judging from their scores. So, and it's interesting, you had mentioned to me before about, you know, John Ruane saying that to you about special teams and how important it was. And the fact that he knew that, he stressed that, I'm sure, to his team as well. And Woodland Hills was still able to, you know, Scoop Smith was still able to return 2 kickoffs for touchdowns. Goes to show how scary the Woodland Hills special teams unit is and how scary Scoop Smith is. And the one stat that did pop out to me, Sean, you mentioned they were able to run the ball really well. Taylor Reed ran for 171 yards and 3 touchdowns. And that doesn't happen against Penn Trafford very often at all. And you wonder if, you know, Jamison Yurt still being out really hurts them. Their leading tackler from last year who got injured in the scrimmage this year. One bright spot I thought for PT, though, Yakimelli, the other Yakimelli, Cody was able to run for 146 yards. So that was pretty cool to see. Maybe another star in the making there for Penn Trafford.
Yeah, he broke an 80-yard touchdown in the midst of those 4 scores in 40 seconds. Also, they got Ben Grabowski back, and he was pretty good. I mean, he wasn't the leading rusher because you mentioned Yakimelli was, but Grabowski did some good things. What it really has created is they've got a ton of options. You have no idea on any given play who might take the snap because they have Desmond, who at times has looked like a very good, more traditional quarterback, but has enough athleticism that he can run a little bit. Yakimelli's their backup quarterback, but we know just about every year they have the backup quarterback in there as a running threat. And then Grabowski, he played that as a freshman. So they have 3 different options there. I think that they're going to make a nice little second half surge like they typically do. But I think the loss will be a significant one when you look at big picture moving forward. Greater Latrobe scores a victory over Franklin Regional. That also in Big East play. Those teams are all in the same conference, Penn Trafford, Greater Latrobe, and Franklin Regional. Hard to believe that the Panthers are now 0-4 on the season. Greater Latrobe narrowly prevails 13-7 over FR. It was a late interception by Sawyer Butina who was able to seal the victory for the Wildcats. You know, that's a pretty significant win when you look at what teams might get into the playoffs, even wild card potential. A victory like that could go a long, long way for the Cats. And for Franklin Regional, man, they're close, but right now 0-4, it's going to be awfully tough to rally from that.
Yeah, when you look back at some of their games, you know, again, Hempfield, the game was, you know, tied at 14 going into halftime, and then, you know, the back and forth against Latrobe last week. And I feel like every time Latrobe and Franklin play, you have a close game, and then that certainly was the case. Not a high-scoring game, but a close game on Friday at Memorial Stadium.
It was more high scoring than their previous one. I think that was 3-0.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. So it was, yeah, there were fireworks on this time around. But Sawyer Butina, give a little tip of the hat to him. He had a huge interception, wrestled the ball away from Austin McClure to kind of put the game away after McClure caught the pass initially and able to wrestle the ball away from him for an interception. AJ Yaboa went out in the second quarter with an injury. I guess it's not supposed to be anything serious, according to Tom McIntyre there at Latrobe. But Cochran comes in and has a huge touchdown run for him. So that was nice to see him step up. So yeah, big win for Latrobe and for Franklin Regional, man. We knew going into the season it was going to be tough, losing some pieces, certainly on the offensive side, but on the defensive side as well. So they're still kind of trying to find their stride as they navigate this season.
But one thing that you said when it was referring to Woodland Hills, would any team be able to knock them off? Before the season started, I would have said maybe Gateway. I think the Gators will be better than 2024. Well, now it's looking like maybe they won't be. Maybe Franklin Regional, which has been a very good team for a long, long time. Panthers are down. But if you're looking at the Greater Latrobe or the Franklin Regional side of things, other than maybe Penn Trafford and Woodland Hills, is there another team that you look at and say, we don't have a chance against them? I think that they could beat Gateway, they could beat Kiski, and they could beat Armstrong. So there's the opportunity for both of these teams, even Franklin Regional that's sitting at 0-1, to still make a run in the second half of the season.
Yeah, you look at Armstrong right now, 1-3. We've seen Kiski; they've taken their lumps. They're just 1-3 overall. So, and again, in Gateway also 1-3. So, absolutely, even with a loss by Franklin, and then of course Latrobe with the win puts himself in a pretty good position here.
Absolutely. Well, a team that's now in great position in Class 6A, the Norwin Knights. And I told you, I really had a feeling this was the year that one, if not both, of our 6A Westmoreland County teams were going to break through. We'll get to Hempfield a little bit later. They came up short against North Allegheny, but Norwin certainly did not come up short. It was a dominant 56-13 victory at Seneca Valley. And so when you go on the road and you win a game via the mercy rule, that's a statement. And the Knights, we thought, were pretty darn good. And now I feel confident saying that they've shown that they're going to be able to hang all season long in 6A. Might not favor them against the Pittsburgh Central Catholics or even the North Alleghenies, which is going to be an awesome matchup. But right now, I think that they have kind of separated themselves. I would think that they should certainly be a playoff team after seeing this outcome.
Yeah, that was a big win. Obviously, just a big win overall. But, when you factor in playoffs down the line, winning your conference opener against Seneca Valley, whether you did it by 1 point or by as many as Norwin did, that was really impressive. And I think, leading into one of the biggest games at Norwin in a long time here against North Allegheny, I mean, you'll take a 1 point victory leading into it, but I think it was important for them to kind of come out and just dominate and just be really riding high going into this game, against North Allegheny to win the game 56-13. They were able to really run the ball extremely well against Seneca Valley. Rotroff had 130 yards. Tavares ran for 101. He also threw 3 touchdown passes. And another splash play by Potter Brzeski. He's good for at least 1 a game. This time he returns a kickoff for a touchdown. So they really are clicking on all cylinders right now. We've seen in the past, teams are clicking on all cylinders until they play North Allegheny, until they play Pittsburgh Central Catholic, and then all of a sudden it just turns around, which I think we saw last week with Hempfield losing to NA 56-13, ironically, the way that they did, even though they had a lot of things cooking. So it'll be interesting, but definitely a different Norwin team this year. They lost 26-6 last year to Seneca Valley, and just a complete turnaround this year.
I might not have the keen football eye that John Bainbridge does, but when you and I go to those training camps every year, try to, pull something that we can keep in the back of my mind from it. When we were at Norwin, I saw Brzeski returning kicks. It's not the same as a game situation, right? He's not going against guys who are trying to tackle him, but his burst was pretty exceptional. And I remember saying, he's going to be a legit weapon on special teams returning if he gets that opportunity. 96 yards in the conference opener. So I saw it coming all the way back from the first week of Heat Week.
But you didn't play the Powerball, right? I mean, obviously you didn't win it because you're still here talking to me. So,
I would not be doing the show if I hit.
No, I'll tell you what, man. I'm not just sucking up to Brian. Potter's really good. He's very, very good on both sides of the ball. Knock on wood, he's staying healthy this year, and it's going to be an exciting one on Friday.
Absolutely. Well, we're going to get to that one in a little bit. We're also going to get to our plays of the week and a couple of interviews, Mike Brown and Kimani Brown. But we'll step aside. When we come back, we'll run down all of the scores across Westmoreland County from this past Friday, as well as look at the top performers. That's as we continue right here on Westmoreland on the Gridiron.
Game day or any day, the power of Bowser is here to get you where you need to go. From the latest Hyundai, Nissan, Subaru, Chevrolet, GMC, Buick, and Genesis models to quality pre-owned vehicles, Bowser has the perfect lineup for your drive. Look for a winning deal. Bowser's got the plays, great financing, top trade-in values, and a selection that's always in season. From the first whistle to the final buzzer, Bowser Automotive is your hometown MVP. Bowser Automotive, Route 51 South on top of the hill. PowerofBowser.com.
You can't count all the ways you take care of your family in a single busy day. But knowing you made a difference in their lives is all the reward you need. At AHN Neighborhood Hospitals, that's what motivates us too. Whether it's our loved ones or yours.
Welcome back to Westmoreland on the Gridiron here on the Westmoreland Sports Network. We've already looked at our biggest stories from week 3. Now let's run down all the scores from across Westmoreland County. Many of these games you can go back and watch on our archives right now on the website. Greater Latrobe 13, Franklin Regional 7. We mentioned that's a massive win for the Wildcats. That was a Class 5A Big East conference game, so they 1-0, and the Panthers 0-1 in conference play. The same can be said for Woodland Hills 49, Penn Trafford 21. That the lid lifter in Class 5A Big East for those squads as well. Clairton's 43-0 shutout over Greensburg Central Catholic was a Class 1A Eastern Conference matchup. How about this non-conference? Another thriller for the Derry area Trojans, 13-7 over Burrell in a Westmoreland County clash. You can go back and watch that one, a couple of 3A teams. And I know we're going to see some of the game flick with our plays of the week, but another dramatic victory for your alma mater.
Yeah, another last-second touchdown. I mean, the game wasn't super exciting, although Derry, again, had some opportunities to win maybe a little bit more comfortably like they did the week before. They had that opportunity and end up winning at the end of the game. This, another similar style victory, but they'll certainly take it. And how about, well, I don't want to ruin it. For plays of the week, just be waiting to see Dylan Pitzer's crunching hit at the end of the game.
Yes, no doubt. Norwin, as we mentioned, 56-13 knocks off Seneca Valley in Class 6A. However, our other Westmoreland County team in 6A, Hempfield area, on the wrong side of a 56-13 outcome against North Allegheny. Listen, we didn't expect that they were going to go run the table in 6A. That said, you start against North Allegheny, then you play Central Catholic. To me, the biggest question for the Spartans is, how do they respond? Are they better this week than they were last week? And then even if you go 0-2 in those games, can you come out and get back on track? Because to get in the playoffs, there's 7 teams, 4 of whom make it. If you don't knock off the 2 big dogs, then you just have to find a way to probably win 3 other games. And that Norwin one looking like it's going to be tough, but I think that this is still a team that can make a run for it.
I absolutely do too, and it's just such a brutal 2-game stretch. Like, you have to play both teams on the road at North Allegheny, at Central Catholic. And you look back at that North Allegheny loss, there were some eyebrows being raised where we were over at GCC because Hempfield, I think, was only down 7-6 or something like that after the first quarter. I mean, it was a close game, and then North Allegheny again just flexed its muscles and pulled away. But yeah, I think one of the other big things, Sean, can they come out of it healthy? I think we've seen that a lot in the past where, so for instance, Hempfield plays Cannon McMillan the following week, so not this Friday, but next Friday. If they play Cannon McMillan before they play North Allegheny and Central Catholic, you might have a different result than after you play North Allegheny and Central Catholic, because every time you play those teams, it seems like you get some guys injured and you're beat up mentally. And then you got to, play a team that you can beat in Cannon McMillan, but for some reason you don't because of what you just went through. So hopefully that doesn't happen. Hopefully Hempfield can put up a fight this week against Central Catholic. But it's just so tough to compete with those teams.
Iscaria put up a fight, but ultimately came up just short, 34-31 against Gateway. Avon Shirley had 3 touchdowns. Not going to get much easier for the Cavaliers. They will be at Penn Trafford this week. Well, it has been a rough season for the Valley Vikings. They have not won a game since about the midway point of the 2023 season. They fell 72-0 against Amani Christian. Ligonier Valley on the wrong side of a 42-6 outcome against Shadyside Academy. Yeah, the Bulldogs are under fire a little bit. Remember, they canceled their previous, I guess technically postponed, but it's probably going to end in a forfeit, their previous game against Clairton. Jeanette 61, Frazier 19. We're going to hear from their star quarterback, Kimani Brown, as our Westmoreland Sports Network Player of the Week, but he wasn't the only player who had a good game. Hunter Schaefer, a 69-yard kick return score for the Jayhawks. Monessen with a narrow 13-6 victory over Sarah Catholic. In non-conference play, McKeesport 20, Bell Vernon Area 7. No, they didn't win, but I think the Leopards had a very good showing against one of the very best teams in Class 4A in the Tigers. Curdy Wade was playing a very good game. Unfortunately, got knocked out early in the second half. I talked to my pal Josh Roundtree, who was there, and he said if Wade stays healthy in that game, maybe the Leopards have a real chance to win it. I would hope that he's able to get back sooner rather than later, but they're just not a team that can overcome an injury like that here in 2025.
No, and we've talked a few times about the guys that they've lost the last couple of years, and obviously Curdy Wade is one of those such impact splash play type players that you need to have in your lineup because you don't have a ton of them, and to have him go out, that was really discouraging, disappointing to see. Certainly hope for the best for him that he can come back, but you wonder if that was an encouraging performance by Bell Vernon. I mean, I know you only score 7 points, you lose the game, but you also went up against a really good team. And, you probably feel if your quarterback stays healthy, like Josh said, that, maybe they had a chance to pull it out. So maybe there's some encouraging things that they can build off of there. Hopefully, he'll be able to play sooner rather than later.
No doubt. But I'm sure the McKeesport faithful also saying, well, we were missing a guy who happens to be maybe the best player in the entire country in the junior class. And
Touche.
Yes, Keemon Spell did not play in that contest. Southmoreland stays perfect, and the Scotties had to do so in dramatic fashion, 24-17 over Blackhawk. Jackson Mickens with a couple of touchdowns, including a punt block return score. So this was the first real test that came down to the wire for the Scotties, and they passed it, Flick.
Yeah, they certainly did. That was exciting to see, what was going to happen when they kind of faced their real first test, a close game, and they were able to come out on top. And I would imagine that we'll have another test for Southmoreland coming up this Friday. Even though it's a non-conference game, it's one that you want to get. It could help you in playoff seeding down the line. And with a team like Southmoreland, a small school that it doesn't have a playoff win, for forever, that kind of thing. These are the games that you kind of crave at home.
Their rival, the Mount Pleasant area Vikings, they also survived a close one, 28-27, Mount Pleasant over Ambridge area. Ringgold, the team that Southmoreland will be facing this Friday, 33-13, knocked off Greensburg-Salem. Dennis Hawkins, their quarterback at Ringgold, who transferred from Monessen, threw for 220 yards and 3 touchdowns. And Newcastle blanks York 53-0. The Red Hurricane with a couple of punt return touchdowns in that game. At the college level, Seton Hill 31, Bloomsburg 28. Go back and watch that one. It was a good one. Yeah, Flick's wearing the shirt.
I got to rep today. The Griffs this week, man. How about that comeback?
There's something about them in Bloomsburg coming down to the wire.
Yeah. That's what happened last year, and then this year that was an entertaining. I didn't think they were going to do it, man. I mean, again, last week I said one of the cleanest victories I've seen them have since we've been broadcasting over West Liberty. And then it just completely flipped in the first half against Bloomsburg, where, their quarterback, St. Marie, wasn't throwing the ball well, through some bad turnovers and
not on the same page. Yeah.
And in the past, as we talked about at the end of the game, they would put their heads down, have it snowball, and then they get blown out in the second half. Instead, it was completely a 180, and all of a sudden he was, zipping passes in there, throwing touchdown passes. He ran for the game-winning score. So that was something we don't normally see from a Seton Hill team, which I think is extremely encouraging for Kevin May.
Absolutely. Griffins riding high. They will make the long trip across the state this week. St. Vincent suffers a loss 28-14 against Worcester. Let's take a look now at the top performers from week 3. This is the top passer, rusher, and receiver across the WPIAL, and then any notable names in Westmoreland County as well. 391 yards for the top passer, Beavers Travis Clear, 18 of 38. So he was not all that efficient, but 391 yards. I'll take that as he was the top passer. Nate Desmond, the top passer in Westmoreland County, the Penn Trafford QB, went 9 of 21 for 146 yards. Landon Artman of Kiski area, 142. Dom Dietrich, representing the Hempfield area Spartans, 9 of 15 for 132. Brody Chismar in Greensburg Salem's lost, throws for 117. And Dawson Wolf of Southmoreland, 9 of 18 for 114 yards. The top rusher this past week was a quarterback. James Armstrong of Hopewell goes for 263 yards in the Vikings loss. Cody Iacomelli, we mentioned him before from Penn Trafford, 145 to lead Westmoreland County rushers. Kimani Brown, who we'll talk to in a bit, Jeanette's quarterback, goes for 142. Subbing in, Chris Cochran of Greater Latrobe accounts for 133 yards on the ground. Giovanni Rotroff of Norwin, 130. And Tavian Taylor of Monessen, 124 yards rushing. And Junior Marino of Beaver, when you have a quarterback who throws for 391, probably a receiver's going to go off. He had 9 grabs for 216 yards. Flick, we didn't have anyone, as far as I saw, that got close to 100 yards receiving for Westmoreland County. So the receivers this week, they're going to step it up. We're going to have maybe a half dozen guys that go off this Friday.
I feel like last week we had a lot of guys go off, and this week, nah.
Yeah, I was scouring. I didn't get anyone that even had, I think, like 80 yards as far as I saw. Maybe we missed it. If that's ever the case, feel free to send us the stats in.
Yes.
But from what I saw, did not see anyone from Westmoreland County. That'll do it for all of the scores and top performers from this past Friday, but we've still got more to get to from a week ago, because up next, it is our plays of the week. You want to stick around for that right here on Westmoreland on the Gridiron.
Some moments on the field go beyond the game. They shape who we become. At Home Team Collections, we honor those moments with the care and craftsmanship they deserve. Because these moments aren't just memories, they're a legacy worth preserving. Any team, any sport, any logo. Visit HomeTeamCollections.com today and save $10 off your first order.
The prevention of youth and adult substance abuse in our communities is so important, and our goal at CSAE is to do just that. CSAE works to provide education, encourage recovery, and create social change.
Join us at CSAE.
Because to see the change, you have to be the change.
Back here on Westmoreland on the Gridiron, Sean Myers, Dan Flickinger, and Flick. Before we get to our interviews with Kimani and Mike Brown in just a little bit, you know what time it is right now?
I do know what time it is, Sean, but why don't you remind me just in case I'm wrong?
It is time for plays of the week.
I knew it. Let's do it.
All right. We'll begin with Derry area, and with the defense needing to make a late stop to preserve the win, it was Dylan Pitzer who delivered for the Trojans. His massive hit on Antonio Perkins created a game-clinching fumble, with John Flickinger and Bob Lazinski providing the commentary.
Clock stopped momentarily. Now it's going to start again. 37 seconds and turning. Perkins being pressure. There's a hold right there by Corey. There's a big hit by Pitzer.
Fumble.
The Trojans get on the football. I think they have it at the sideline, and they do. Big Dylan Pitzer with a whack. And Perkins is slow to get up. Boy, did he get hard hit. He is down, unfortunately, for Burrell, because he's played a whale of a game, but he's up. He is up, but Pitzer.
Yeah, he came from behind. He never saw him.
Oh, man, you got to feel a little bad for Perkins there. I mean, you could just, as people are watching, you could just see him just running. It looked like the guy from Happy Gilmore, the big dude, just running after him, Pitzer, and then he just whacks him from the blind side. Glad that Perkins is okay, but oh my gosh, he is a beast out there, Sean.
Yeah, we heard about him on the wrestling mat since he started at the high school level, but he has emerged as a big-time player on the gridiron as well. We continue plays of the week with Franklin Regional, and although the Panthers came up short against Greater Latrobe, Dominic DeVola put his team on the board first. His bootleg yielded 6 points in the opening quarter, as detailed by Jonathan Wade.
Instructions from the sideline. So let's see what's cooking here. And they hand the ball. No, he's going to roll wide to the right side. Had thought about passing it, ran it, and he gets it down inside the 5. But touchdown. DeVola will get it in for the touchdown. So DeVola capitalizes after some excellent running by his backs. And the Panthers get on the board.
I think Jonathan was a little bit unsure if he actually got the ball across the goal line there. Usually he's screaming when a Panther crosses the goal line. Encouraging start there, for Franklin Regional, able to get that touchdown, but unfortunately for them, they drop a 13-7 game.
We continue plays of the week in that same game on the other side because the night ultimately belonged to Greater Latrobe thanks to a big spark from Chris Cochran, who made a long house call in the second quarter to send Memorial Stadium into a frenzy with JW again on the call.
Halfway through the regular season next Friday. Goes by fast. All right, here comes again shotgun formation and gives it to his back. He breaks it down and he's going to go past the 40 to the 50 and he's down to the 30, 20, 10, touchdown. 82-yard touchdown run. Okay, and running that back for Latrobe, number 5, Chris Cochran, the senior. 82-yard touchdown run.
2 yards over right tackle, untouched into the end zone. 99 Mitch
with 8:01 to play here in the quarter. That's what you call a huge big play.
Well, that's a great example of a running back just hitting the hole hard. I don't think he was maybe his ankles were touched there, broke a quick ankle tackle, and then he was gone, turned on the afterburners. And again, with A.J. Yeboah on the shelf a bit, certainly encouraging to see Chris Cochran take one to the house there.
Yeah, he's got some run over the years. I remember Coach Brady mentioning him quite a bit, and never really emerged as like the lead running back, but he's certainly very, very capable. And maybe he does get that extended look now that he's proven that he can do it under the bright lights. We wrap up plays of the week with Seton Hill, and for the second year in a row, Seton Hill used some late game heroics to edge Bloomsburg. This time it was QB Bowden St. Marie showing his running ability, giving the Griffins the winning points in the final minute, with myself and Roger Downs highlighting the action.
Nearing a minute left. Feels like Seton Hill's playing to either win the game or come up short right here. St. Marie's going to run it. Going to get some blocking, and he is in! 11-yard touchdown run for Bowden St. Marie, and the Griffins have the lead.
Huge extra point coming, Sean.
Griffins have scored touchdowns on their last 4 drives. How often could you say that?
Well, I'll tell you what, they have come from behind in today's game.
Well, first half didn't look so good. Second half, that was, Bowden St. Marie was incredible. The passes that he made, and then that time he tucks it down and runs it into the end zone for a touchdown. He just did it all in the second half, and that's encouraging to see, Sean. Mentally, you got to be tough, obviously, to play any sport, especially quarterback in football. And after a really tough first half, look what he does in the second half. Very encouraging for the Griffs.
And by the way, that wasn't the end of the game. Far from it, because the Huskies drove nearly the length of the field. They had a real chance to get a winning touchdown, and for whatever reason, it didn't seem like they really were that interested in trying to score a touchdown. They were more so trying to play for the tie with a short field goal, which they went for and missed. So I wasn't going to use that for play of the week because the Griffins, they made a big play to win the game. But yeah, it was kind of a bizarre ending, and Seton Hill gladly will take it.
I know we saw it, but for those that weren't watching the Seton Hill game, for some reason, Bloomsburg spiked the ball to kill the clock, and then they called a timeout after that.
Their final timeout.
Their final timeout. And the reason that you kill the clock is to kill the clock so you don't have to call a timeout, or you don't have any timeouts maybe. But they had one left, and they called it right after they spiked it. It was kind of strange, and that kind of hurt them because had they had an extra timeout, they could have went to the end zone and tried to win the game. Instead, they had to kick a field goal, and they missed. So crazy.
Yeah, and sometimes coaching does determine wins and losses. And in that case, I think the Griffins had better coaching in the latter stages of the game than Bloomsburg did.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's not the focus here. That will do it for plays of the week. When we come back, however, I am going to talk to a couple of Browns. Mike Brown, the head coach of the Norwood Knights, and then after that, our Westmoreland County sports player. Let me try that one again. Our Westmoreland Sports Network player of the week, who is in Westmoreland County.
I do it too.
Jeanette's Kimani Brown. Those are back-to-back upcoming as we continue right here on Westmoreland on the Gridiron.
Get big end-of-summer savings now at Sendell Mitsubishi Greensburg. Sendell is stacking the savings on SUVs in September. Qualified customers can lease a 7-passenger Mitsubishi Outlander plug-in hybrid for as low as $219 a month for 36 months. Outlander models include a 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty. Sendell Mitsubishi, Route 30, Greensburg. SendellMitsubishi.com. We would love to meet you.
I am the swiftest creature alive. I can make it. I will make it.
That's where we come in. The Collision Shop by Jason Mignon is your one-stop shop for all things auto body repair. Our experienced technicians and state-of-the-art facilities have you covered. Body repairs, refinishing, glass replacement, and more. Our friendly office staff is happy to assist you through every step of your vehicle's repair process. Visit thecollisionshopbyjason.com for our complete list of services.
We continue here on the Westmoreland Sports Network. Sean Myers now joined by the head coach at the Norwood Knights, Mike Brown. His team winners of 3 straight, now 3-1 on the season, and more importantly, 1-0 in Class 6A play with a victory at Seneca Valley in emphatic fashion. Mike, congrats on that big win. Congrats on the terrific start to the season. I'm sure you're very happy with where your team is at. What has stood out about this early season success that has you believing it could be sustainable the rest of the year?
Yeah, thank you. Really appreciate you guys having us. But I think we're healthy. We're taking care of our body, during the Saturday and Sunday and the weekends. We don't have anybody, knock on wood, injured right now, but it's just the way the kids are working. They're working on Monday through Thursday. They understand, the schemes that we want to run. They understand what we're going to change each and every week. And they're almost taking it like a business aspect to it, which is pretty cool to see that they're locked in, having 14 to 18-year-olds. Sometimes they kind of lose focus pretty quick, but these guys are locked in, and that has a lot to do with our senior leaders. So I'm impressed with what they're doing right now, but they do understand, it's a long season still.
It felt like last year this team was destined to do some big things after that 2-0 start, including the big win against Penn Trafford to open the season. It seemed like it was a combination of a rash of injuries hitting and then maybe the team losing some confidence as well. Is it a different feel with the mentality and the mindset at this point in 2025 with your guys?
Yeah, I do think, there's a little bit of that, but I also think it's the depth aspect that we have too. Where we can kind of sub guys out if they need a blow, which I think in the past we really haven't had that. It's actually pretty nice to see, your offensive line all come out and you're sending a whole new defensive line in. But that was kind of the goal. We've always talked about the last 2 seasons is getting to that point because that's what you need, in 6A football. You need the quality, up front, but you also need the depth at any position, whether there's injury, someone needs a blow during the game. So I think that's our biggest, thing that we've kind of changed is we have these quality backups that really can do it, and there's not really that much difference going into it. So we're going to keep on doing that, and we're going to keep on working, and hopefully we keep having success.
I know that 2 impressive victories against Kiski area, Greater Latrobe. Certainly there's an argument to be made that you were maybe the deserving team to win against Penn Trafford, even though the breaks didn't go your way late. But there was still maybe from the outside a question of, would that translate into Class 6A play? And I think your team answered that at least 1 week in with that win at Seneca Valley. And you really didn't leave any doubt, 56-13. What in particular stood out about that performance on the road against the Raiders?
Yeah, I mean, we had to overcome quite a bit last Friday. We had a little bit of a bus transport issue. We were a little late to the game. We like to get there early, kind of get a little workout in before, get the guys ready. So we, as a staff, were a little eerie about how we were going to come out because in the past, that kind of been our problem, starting off quick and sometimes getting into a hole that we couldn't get out. So we were really impressed. The kids overcame everything. They overcame the bus ride, a little bit change in our schedule. But I think the biggest thing that we started from the first whistle. And again, that's been another goal, all off season is starting quick. So I think that's what really got, us moving is from the get go. We got, 3 and out, and then we got down and scored, and we had success early, which was really cool to see because in the past, especially playing away, we had trouble with that. So again, the kids are buying into what we're trying to preach to them, and, they're doing the work on the field.
We ask a lot of questions about Tristan. We've talked to him as well, and deservedly so. He's the quarterback. He's been a star player and a real leader for your team. But your running back, Giovanni Rotroff, is having a terrific season as well, very consistently productive. Why has he been so good?
Yeah, I think he'll be the first one to tell you. A lot has to do with that offensive line of his. They're moving people up front. They're creating holes. But, he's not going to be the guy that outruns you, and he doesn't want to outrun you. He's the guy that's going to put his head down, find a crease, and lower his shoulder, and he's going to be a punishing runner, which is what we need. We can ask him to run the ball 30 times. We can ask him to run the ball 15. It really doesn't matter. He's the ultimate team guy. Like I said, he'll be the first one to tell everybody the success is because of his offensive line. The offensive line will tell you they're having success because G's a hard runner. That's the type of team, we have. But, G really bought into the offseason workouts. He really put on the muscle that he needed to be able, to run the ball 20-plus times a game. And it's really showing now where he's punishing defenders. He's getting those extra yards. But it also helps if, we do miss a block. More than likely, he's going to fall forward for 2 or 3. So that's also huge for us to be able to get it. I mean, I was doing the stats earlier today. He's rushing for over 100 yards, but you see, with the long category, which how far has he ran or the biggest gain he's ran, it's 17, it's 20. It's not those 70-yard runs. So he's slowly but surely punishing people, and he's going to wear people down, which is awesome to see. It's because of his hard work.
Potter Brzezinski has really emerged this season. Probably not a surprise when you consider his bloodlines. He's found the end zone quite a bit as a receiver, and he proved that he can do it on special teams as well. Given his frame, given his, football DNA, how good can he be?
Yeah, I think his potential is above the ceiling. I don't think there's really a ceiling for that. I mean, the kid, he's all of 6'3", he can fly. We had Luke Denny down during the summer working out with us, and they were stride for stride. So he definitely can play at that level. That I think so. So whether it's offense, whether it's defense, obviously, he can do it on special teams too. He has a great future, but right now, again, just like G, he's starting to see that success through his hard work. And again, we're excited to see where he can go, and when he graduates, to see where he can play.
I'm going to ask about North Allegheny momentarily because that's obviously a big-time matchup looming. But I do want to go back to week 0 and the loss against Penn Trafford in heartbreaking fashion. I know you tried to stay politically correct after that. a moment like that, it feels like it really could go either way for a team, even though it's so early in the season. Could you rally behind it, or would that kind of linger and loom into the next week's game? What was the response? How did you make sure your team used that maybe as a motivating factor?
Yeah. I mean, I think it was the best thing for us. And I told those kids that, or our players, it was the best thing for it. I think if you ask any of our players right now, that's probably the last thing that they're thinking about during this season, which was awesome. Because again, as a coach and a coaching staff, you're kind of playing psychologist trying to see, is it going to linger? Is it going to ruin a season? But again, these kids prevailed. Whatever we've thrown at them, or whatever, has been thrown at them, they've overcame it. And they've overcame it together, which is awesome to see. But I know I still get questions about it. Hopefully, moving forward, we can get some bigger wins and talk about that. But I think it's the best thing that happened to us this season, to be honest with you.
Talking to Mike Brown, the head coach of the Norwood Knights. Well, you said hopefully you can get bigger wins. There's very few that would qualify as a bigger win than knocking off North Allegheny. This is a team that each and every year you can assume is going to be one of the very best, not only in Class 6A, but in the entire WPIAL. And the Tigers are off to another great start. So what makes them so good?
Yeah, I mean, it's business as usual with them, year in and year out. And when something like that happens, you have to, tip your cap to the coaching staff. Obviously, Coach Walker is one of the most legendary coaches, to ever coach in the WPIAL. He has a great staff behind him. Again, just like all great WPIAL teams, they're very, very physical. They're well disciplined, and when they need to make a play, they make a play. So again, we're going to have our hands full. We know, what North Allegheny is all about. We respect the heck out of them, and then we know that, we're going to have to go in. We're going to have to match that physicality. And if we want, to take that step to be in the next level, that's what we're going to have to do. We're going to have to be physical. We're going to be well disciplined. When we call somebody to make a play, they're going to have to do it.
What else stands out as keys to success against NA?
Yeah, I think defensively we got to tackle. They got a great back that he's a bruiser. Their quarterback, he's a gamer. He'll pull the ball when, we let them. If we let him pull the ball, he'll pull it and he'll go. And we found that out last year. He took one for about 60 yards. And then obviously their offensive line is, your typical North Allegheny offensive line, which is a really good physical offensive line. And then, wide receivers, they make plays everywhere. They're running screens. They're getting downfield. And then defensively, they're very sound. They're going to make you try to throw the ball. They're going to try to stop the run. Linebackers are triggering. They got a defensive end that is probably one of the best, in the WPIAL. And they got a couple shutdown corners. So, again, they got a, well-balanced, good football team. So, that's going to be something that we're going to have to see, and it's going to test us. And hopefully, we can come out of that test.
Lastly, Mike, I know you and your team probably established goals before the season. Perhaps you would revisit and adjust those. But what will ultimately constitute a successful 2025 season for the Knights?
Yeah, I mean, I think we don't really look at the end result right now. We're kind of focused on the process. But if you finished at the end of the season, it's, get into the playoffs and get into, a WPIAL championship. That's why you should be playing, every year. It shouldn't be, just win a couple. Let's just be a little better than last year. If you're going to play in anything, if you're going to compete in anything, you need to win, and you need to win a championship. And I think our guys realize that. But I think right now our focus is week by week. We can't jump ahead. We can't look behind and things like that. So right now, I mean, we're focused on this week. We're focused on a great week of practice. Then we're focused on playing, one of the more legendary programs in WPIAL history.
Mike, thank you so much for doing this. And again, congrats on the terrific start and good luck. Hopefully you can keep it up going forward.
Yeah, appreciate it. And thank you guys for all you do for high school football. Really appreciate it.
That is Mike Brown, the head coach of the Norwood Knights. We'll take a break. When we continue here with Westmoreland on the Gridiron, we will talk to Jeanette quarterback Kimani Brown right here on WSN.
Play It Again Sports in Greensburg is your locally owned and operated sporting goods store. We set ourselves apart by offering a wide variety of both new and used equipment at competitive prices, located in the Greengate East Plaza below Walmart. Play It Again Sports' knowledgeable staff will help you and your family prepare for every athletic season. Whether you're looking to buy, sell, or trade, we are here as your one-stop shop. At Play It Again Sports in Greensburg, everybody plays.
At Elliott Community Federal Credit Union, we're here to make your financial journey easier and more rewarding. With open membership to all that live, work, worship, or study in Westmoreland County, everyone can take advantage of our competitive loan rates, whether you're doing home improvements, buying a car, or making a personal purchase. Plus, enjoy free checking and online banking with remote deposits so you can manage your money anytime, anywhere. Elliott Community Federal Credit Union. Make our house your financial home.
We continue here, Westmoreland on the Gridiron, each and every Wednesday at 7 p.m. on the Westmoreland Sports Network. And first off, we want to thank Mike Brown, the head coach of the Norway Knights, for taking time to talk to us. We're now talking to another Brown. That's Kimani Brown, the quarterback for Jeanette, and a senior who is our Westmoreland Sports Network Player of the Week after an impressive performance, to say the least. 4 rushing touchdowns, 2 passing touchdowns, and a blowout victory, 61-19 against Frazier in Class 1A Eastern Conference play. First off, Kimani, congratulations. I would assume that for most players, that's maybe the best game that they ever would have had. It feels almost kind of like a standard Friday night for you, though, with the numbers you've been putting up. But let's talk about the game against Frazier. What was working so well for you, both running and passing?
Thank you. And, a lot of teams are quarterbacks behind me every week. So now I have to open up my arm to open up my legs. So we've gone into the game, we slowed things down, watching film, watching how people are scheming against me. So we knew we had to open up, just throwing the ball a little bit, spreading them out a little bit, and then when they put one in the box they try to match our athletes on the perimeter. We knew I was going to be one-on-one with a linebacker and a safety, and I can make 2 players miss all the time. So my uncle just believed in me to make 2 people miss, and my lineman to block for me and give me a hole to run up the middle.
From a year ago to now, have you grown more in terms of your passing or your running ability?
I mean, I would say I just grew as a better, overall understanding of the game. I wouldn't just say passing or run. I was just, last year, sometimes I would try to, force a play, and then just, knowing the down distance is getting rid of the ball sometimes. It's never wrong getting rid of the ball. And that's what I learned this year to get better at.
How much does having a coach in Thomas Pallone that knows the position very well help your development as a quarterback?
It's really good because, things if a coach is telling you something, you won't really, sometimes you'll listen, but you won't really listen because you don't think they know what they're talking about. But he knows what he's talking about. So I believe in him every week. Every time he tells me to do something, I go out there and do it the best of my abilities, and it always is right.
Now, you have the benefit of having one of the most talented and explosive receivers in the WPIAL on your side in Jace Powell. He was awesome a year ago, maybe even better this year. How has he gotten better, and how has that connection between you two grown from one year to the next?
I mean, he's a great football player. He's a great athlete. Every time I put him in a predicament or a position to get the ball, he goes and gets the ball. So that's all I really got to do. He's really explosive. He trains really hard. Him, Trevor, they trained a lot in the offseason. Worked on their DB stuff, wide receiver work. So he trains really hard. So it's really easy. All I gotta do is give him the ball. And I'm just like this. After he gets the ball, I just put my hands out. I know he's about to score. He's a great athlete. Him and the rest of the receivers are just great at their job. It makes my job way easier.
He had one of the best catches that we'll probably see all season. I believe that was a couple weeks ago against Ligonier Valley, one-handed. Was that the best play that you've ever seen him make?
That was the best catch I've ever seen him make, but he's been making plays since he was 6 years old, so I wouldn't say that's the best, but that was very impressive. The catch, run after, that was very impressive. But he has amazing plays. A couple plays, how you see a play, it doesn't look as good as it would unless you have a one-hand catch or something in it. That's one of the plays. He had a one-hand catch in that play, so it looked way better than like the actual play. But he has crazier plays where he cut back across the field, cut back, made 3 people miss, scored a touchdown. So I would just say it was a very impressive catch and a very impressive play, but I wouldn't say that was his best play. But that was his best catch ever.
Now, if you weren't playing quarterback, you would probably be playing receiver, correct?
Yes.
Could you make a catch like that?
I mean, I believe in myself. I believe in my capabilities, so I would say yeah.
Either way, it seems like you and him are quite a special combination. So I talked about the victory against Fraser. We highlighted that spectacular play and a lopsided win against Ligonier Valley. You knocked off Apollo Ridge as well, but I would imagine there was a sour taste in your mouth and probably your teammates after the Week 0 game. You were up on Mount Pleasant. They came all the way back. You lost that game. Is that an opportunity to grow and get better? Do you feel like your team learned from that?
Yeah, we just learned not to take teams lightly in the second half because we was going to the game. We knew we were like a better, skillful team, so we knew we were going to be up, and we thought it was going to be a blowout. We just took the game lighter than what it was, and then they used the opportunities they got. They got a fumble at the 4-yard line, the easy run in. So they used the opportunities against us, and we just played bad in the second half for real. And ever since then, I feel like that made our team grow way more because now we're taking things way more serious. We're going extra hard in practice. Everybody's giving their all. Everybody wants to win every game, so everybody's taking it to a whole nother level.
We talk a lot about your offensive ability, and we talk about Jace as well, and clearly putting up 61 points a week ago. Scoring typically will not be a problem for the Jayhawks, but defensively, I think last year there was maybe some games where you didn't perform collectively as well as you needed to. Has that been an emphasis to take that next step, and what have you seen on that side of the football that you're encouraged by?
I mean, we just take everything personal this year, so I feel like our team's doing way better. So after the game, Frazier, their running back he had a ton of yards, so we had a lot of accountabilities about it from that because we were like, there's no way we should let this player do this much against us. Like, we're way better than that. We need to step it up. So we're way harder on each other this year. Everybody's holding everybody to a higher standard, and everybody's more accountable this year. So I feel like the games are getting easier. We're keeping teams with less points because everybody has a higher standard now than last year. And Coach P's been on us, Coach G been on us, Coach Spin been on us, Uncle Fast been on us, Coach Cope been on us. Everybody's been on us to a whole nother level this year. We're doing more play workouts. We're doing crazy workouts on Saturday and too, like recovery workouts. Everything's just better this year. We're doing activation on Friday with Coach Rushlock. We're doing a lot of things to keep our team healthy and make us the better versions of ourselves every day.
You're talking about some of the other coaches on staff. A guy who was on staff last year who has moved on is Dustin Schoaf, and he's doing some really good things now with Southmoreland. They're off to a perfect start. I know you're focused on your games, obviously, on Friday, but have you noticed the success that he's having?
Yeah. I've noticed a little bit of success, but I've been trying to stay like in Jeanette, just focus on Jeanette. But I've been keeping up a little bit. I've seen they were 4-0 or something like that.
Yep.
And I'm cool with a couple people on his team, like Mikkel and his brother Ave. So I be seeing their highlights and stuff, and they be going a little crazy. I be signing up like good job, bro, and stuff. You know what I'm saying? Stuff like that.
You've got a big test upcoming this week. You make the trek to play Leechburg, and the Blue Devils have been pretty impressive this year. They've really become a solid program over the past handful of years. What challenges do they present, and what do you and your teammates need to do to walk out with a road victory?
Their challenges is they got really well coaches. They got a good scheme, and their lines are very impressive. They got some big dudes. They have a dude that's getting recruited by Temple. 6'5", 300 pounds. Our linemen is bigger, but I feel like our linemen are going to do good because they're physical. And I feel like our defensive scheme is going to be better than our offensive scheme. I feel like that's our advantage, that we scheme better than other teams, and we watch more film, and we're more detail assigned, and we're just better, and I would say being together than other teams. We're more of a brotherhood. And I feel like whenever it comes down to the end of the game, when it's the fourth quarter and it's us versus them, we're gonna come out on the win, come up on the upside because we're more bonded than they are.
You talked about one of their players being heavily recruited. What's your recruitment process been like? What's the ultimate goal for what your next home will be?
I I don't really know right now. We're still like deciding, me and my gram and my dad. So we don't really know yet. Some trying to play somewhere D1 though, and get the best education and just trying to get to the next level.
Have you talked about what position you might be playing at the next level?
Yeah. I'm getting recruited for an athlete, so I'll probably play offense or defense or corner or receiver, one of the two. Either or, I'll play either or.
Is there a particular NFL player or even a college player that you look up to that you try to model your game after, or a player who inspires you?
I don't really try to model my game after anybody, but I take like little pieces of everything from everybody. Like I'll watch a little bit of Pastor 10. He has good technique, and he's really patient on defense. I'll watch a little bit of Jalen Ramsey, his physicality. I'll watch a little bit of how Justin Jefferson runs his route, how Jamar Chase will catch the ball. I take a little bit of everything, and I got a big mentors, good mentors like Robert Kennedy, G, my uncle. I just got a lot of good people in my life that want to see me do the best. So I take a little bit from everybody.
Do you have a favorite NFL team?
I don't want to talk about us right now. We're 0-2. The Chiefs.
Well, you've had plenty to cheer about over the years, so I don't think you should be feeling too down with all the Super Bowl championships and appearances that they've made.
But I'm still a hometown kid, so I still like the Steelers and stuff. Even though the Chiefs are my favorite team, they're my second.
By the way, I'm a 49ers fan who are 0-2 in the Super Bowl against the Chiefs. So yeah, you shouldn't be. We don't
like the Niners. We don't like the Niners.
Is there a sport that you follow closely other than football?
Basketball. I watch track. I was watching Noah Lyles. He just ran and qualified for. I forget what he qualified for. It was on Saturday though. I watched him run, and he's very impressive too. I watch a little bit of basketball, and I watch basketball a lot. Basketball, football, and track. Baseball is just. It'd be a little too boring. It'd be a little just a little too boring. But it's more fun than watching it for real.
You talked about basketball. I think most people know by now that you're a very good basketball player, and Jeanette, of course, had that incredible run over the winter. How important is it that you are able to continue to play basketball and football at the high school level? Because some guys, honestly, as you know, they kind of try to specialize once they get to high school.
I would just say, like, I've always played football and basketball and baseball my whole life. So coming up to the next level, it was just guys were just a little bigger. It was not really nothing different. It was just guys a little bigger and guys are more physical. Besides that, I feel like it's the same. When it was my sophomore year, like my freshman year of basketball, it was a little harder. My freshman year of football, it was a little hard. I was a little small. I was like 120. So it was really like hard to move around and not like get bumped around. And then I put on a little bit of weight, and it's just like these guys aren't better than me. They like I'm just a confident person, not trying to be like not like humble or nothing. I'm just a confident person. I'm like, yeah, they can't mess with me. So it was just like after I got a year into the system of how it worked and stuff, it just got so easy, and it's got easier and easier by the years.
Was it tough on your body to recover, though? Because when I think back to last school year, you make it to the WPIAL football semifinals. You make it to the state playoffs in basketball. Those extended seasons means that there's almost no time for recovery in between.
Yeah, I would say that's the hardest thing. Especially that I'm not like no big kid that's like not 195, nothing like that. I'm 160 muscles. I'm just 160 muscles. So like after taking so many hits and stuff, and then going and straight into basketball, I was still a little banged up, and I had an ankle sprain from Ligonier Valley. I was running down the sideline, and I sprained my ankle, and that carried the whole way into the middle of basketball season. We got a little break, and I finally got a little bit healthy, because right after football was over, we went straight to basketball 3 days later. But Coach Batts gave us a little bit of rest time. Shout out to Coach Batts. He gave us a little bit of rest time for all the football players. He gave us like a week off. But right after that, we was right back on the basketball court. My body was going through it for a minute.
All right, I'm going to hit you with some quick questions here. Whatever comes to mind first for your answer. What is the best individual football player that you've ever played against?
Best individual football player. I don't want to say it. I gotta give credit where credit's due. But I would say Matt C. And
Or
like high
Cherry
school, you talking about in high
superstar.
school?
Yep.
In high school, Matt C. Definitely, he was definitely on a different level. Like we were out there, and he did the craziest play I've ever seen. Like I don't even want to talk about it. That's how crazy the play was. One of my teammates, like he told me he was blitzing. I'm not gonna say who it was. He told me he was blitzing. He ran the ball right to where he blitzed at and scored a touchdown. I've never seen somebody do that. And that's when I knew I just started like taking things like I gotta start training way harder than what I did last year to be able to be on his level and be better than him when we play him again in the playoffs.
What is your favorite social media app?
Favorite social media? I'd say Snapchat. I like Twitter too because I be watching the Twitter fights. They be funny. Snapchat, Twitter. I'm not really a TikTok guy. I don't really be on TikTok like that. But and I be on a little bit of Instagram. But Instagram, like it's so dead now. People don't even post or nothing no more. So I would say Snapchat and Twitter. Snapchat and Twitter.
I'm with you on no TikTok. Do you have a celebrity dream date?
I don't want to get yelled. I don't want to get yelled at for this. But yeah, Lotta, she looked really good. Lotta looks really good. I would take her to get some hibachi, something like that. Hibachi, anywhere she want to go for real. We go seafood, anywhere she want to go. I'd take her.
Well, you just mentioned hibachi. So my next question is, if you could only eat one meal for the rest of your life, what are you picking?
One hibachi. I got it in the kitchen right now. I got it in the kitchen right now. Hibachi. Chicken, steak, rice, veggies. That's my go-to.
What is your favorite sports movie of all time?
I would say either The Longest Yard or wait, what's that movie called? I'd probably say The Longest Yard. The Longest Yard.
I'm
I
guessing
can't
we're
think of the other
talking
movie.
the more recent Longest Yard, because there was one made way back in the day, probably 40
Well,
years
Adam
ago.
Sandler. I'm talking about the one with Adam Sandler.
that's what I figured. Gotcha. All right. If you were on an island, stranded, and you could pick one of your football teammates to go with you, who's the choice?
What's the scenario though? Because we're stranded. It's like to survive. Like, what is it for?
Whatever you want. If you want someone who's going to be good with survival skills, or you want someone who's just going to be a good time, you could pick whatever route you want to go.
Dang, if I had to, I would take all my friends. I love all my friends. They're not even really my friends, but they're more like my brothers. So I would, but if it came down to one, I could laugh with all of them though. They're all great dudes. I'd probably say either Xavier, Jace, Nick, or Carmen. I can't decide, or Eli. I can't decide. Like I just can't decide on one. I would take everybody, like half the team. I'm taking half the team. They all either my cousins or I claim as my real life brothers. So
You just sparked something in my mind there. You mentioned Odorizio Ferro, right? He was the dude who had that nasty facial dunk in the playoffs at Fox Chapel, right?
Yes.
Best dunk that you've ever seen in person?
I've seen LeBron in person.
Where'd you see him at? In Cleveland?
No, I seen him at like a little charity event. So Bronny played in Ohio at the St. Mary. And LeBron was in the warm-ups and they were all messing around. He just dunked it was crazy. Threw a lob, caught it, and it hit his the kids on Bronny's team were under the hoop. He just dunked on 5 of them, but they ain't jumping none, but it just looked so crazy in person. He's so big. So
you're saying Xavier's not quite at LeBron level yet?
Not on quite LeBron level, but that was crazy. He's 6'9", Zay's 6'1". That was crazy. That was crazy. We still talk about that to this day. That was crazy.
Final thing for you. Hopefully this happens, and if it does, make sure you keep me in mind. You wake up tomorrow with $1 million. What's the first thing you're doing?
Investing.
Okay. How much you keeping to play with if you invest a good bit of it? How much are you leaving?
I already got some money stashed, so I'd probably say I'm money smart, so I probably 1 million. I'd probably take 10,000 just to play with. Just 10,000. I don't really need none. I got everything I need. Take like
That's
10,000 and
okay.
the rest invest in it.
That's a good mentality. I would imagine you might be a little tempted if that actually happened to spend more than 10,000, but I'll believe you for the time being. I guess I can't prove otherwise for now.
Yeah.
All right. Good stuff, Kimani. Thanks so much for doing this. Congrats on being our Westmoreland Sports Network Player of the Week, and good luck this Friday and beyond.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
That is Kimani Brown, the senior for Jeanette. We'll take a break and continue with more right here on the Westmoreland Sports Network's Westmoreland on the Gridiron.
D-Bat Pittsburgh East, the area's premier baseball and softball training academy, is now open in Westmoreland County. Our 20,000 square foot state-of-the-art facility features dual fungo man pitching machines, hit tracks enabled cages, and professional bullpens. With private baseball and softball instruction, we're here to help you dominate the diamond. And don't forget to stop into our pro shop, powered by Rawlings and Easton, for the latest gear. D-Bat Pittsburgh East, now open in export. Visit dbatpiteast.com.
Over the years, car dealerships have come and gone, but one name has stood the test of time. Smale? The Smale family's commitment to excellence is unwavering. We're proud to announce the grand opening of our new Smale Kia showroom. Right now, get up to $1,000 APR bonus cash on select models, plus 0% financing for up to 48 months on 2025 Kia Sportage and Kia Sorento gas models. Don't miss these savings. Now it's Smale Kia, Route 30 East, Greensburg.
Back here for one final segment on Westmoreland on the Gridiron, and a big thank you to Kimani Brown, the star quarterback for the Jeanette Jayhawks. We had a lengthy back and forth there, Flick.
Did you enjoy doing that? You stepped in very admirably, first of all, for me this week, even if the interview lasted like 2 days, but it was still good. No, he's good, man. Kimani's good. I'm glad that we're pronouncing it correctly because nobody else does. Everyone says Kimani or Kimon or something like that, but it is Kimani. And I like some of those questions, that you asked him. Those were really funny, his responses. So,
and he gave love to Matt Sig.
He did.
So that's the best player that he's ever gone against.
No doubt about it. Yep.
Yeah. Hoping, I'm sure that he gets a chance to see him in the playoffs. Once again, remember that was the team that ended Jeanette's season last year in the WPIAL semifinals.
I also liked how he said, he's like, $1 million. I don't know. I got some money stashed away. So I was like, whoa, okay, Kimani. All right, buddy.
Congratulations on all his success. That makes one of us.
Yeah, right.
All right. Let's look at the week 4 schedule. You know what's crazy?
I don't.
It's
already week 4.
Just about every team is the halfway point of the regular season.
That is crazy. Yes, I would agree.
It's week 4, but it's the 5th game for just about
flying by.
Well, we've got some big ones. We will have a bevy of broadcasts on our airwaves, beginning with a 6A clash in North Huntington. The Norwin Knights, 3-1, 1-0, welcome 4-0 North Allegheny. The Tigers coming off of that lopsided win against Hempfield area as well. To me, we've said Norwin has passed some big tests, even though they lost against Penn Trafford. This is their biggest test, and I will be fascinated to see what the final score looks like. If they win, they become one of the biggest stories in the entire WPIAL. But if they even take it down to the wire, I think that is a good sign for them moving forward.
No doubt about it. I mean, again, like you said, even if they keep it close and lose, they then have that confidence they can compete with North Allegheny. And obviously they'll play Central Catholic later in the season. But I think it's one of those games they have to do what they did against, Seneca Valley. They have to be able to control the line of scrimmage, control the clock a little bit by running the football effectively. I would imagine that, they'll try to get Tristan to run the ball a little bit more than maybe he even has. But Rotroff has been very good this year. So I think the running game will be very important for for Norwin. And then on defense, again, it's, the Knights have had trouble in the past stopping the run. I think that's going to be a big test against North Allegheny. Are they going to be able to stop the run and not allow North Allegheny to control the line of scrimmage? So it'll definitely be a challenge, but it's one that I think a lot of people are excited to see.
I think Tavares was running wild against North Allegheny last year and then got hurt in a game.
He was that the North? Yeah, I think you're right. That was North Allegheny game. Yeah.
Yeah. Obviously, they're not going to win a game if he gets hurt early. But if he can replicate what he was able to do early against the Tigers last year, I think Norwin's going to have a chance to maybe put NA on upset alert. Two teams that are looking for a bounce back, and neither want to fall to 0-2 in conference play. Kiski area at Penn Trafford. We will have that game on video as well, as will the Ringgold at Southmoreland game. Scotty's looking to stay perfect. They are 4-0. Ringgold 3-1, but the Rams have been very, very impressive. Flick, who's broadcasting that game?
Well, I don't want to tell anyone because I want people to tune in. But I guess since you asked me, I will be broadcasting that one along with John Bainbridge. So we'd love to have everybody tune in. I promise I try not to be too rusty. Hopefully we won't have technical issues everywhere, which will kind of force John to call play-by-play. But maybe he'd be good at it. I don't know. So, no, we're really excited to get to Russ Grimm Field, and we already talked with Dustin Schoaf over there. So it should be a fun matchup. And obviously they have the new turf we get a chance to showcase on the broadcast, and the new video board as well. So
all the bells and whistles and a good team to go with it.
Yeah, Brian Pritz was very excited to talk to me about that. So looking forward to seeing it.
Another non-conference game that we will have on our airwaves. Derry area makes a trek to Indiana County to play the Indiana area Little Indians. Back in conference play, Gateway at Franklin Regional. Panthers looking for their first win overall. They are 0-4. Gators got their first win last week at the expense of the Cavaliers. They are 1-0 in the 5A Big East. We will have coverage of that game, as will we of Jeanette at Leechburg. That feels like a massive game. Didn't know if Leechburg would be able to maintain their level of play after graduating some really good players over the last few years, but they are still a very, very good team. Each squad 1-0 in Eastern Conference play, 3-1 overall on the season. Hempfield area at Pittsburgh Central Catholic. I believe that is at Gessling Stadium, Carnegie Mellon, since Pittsburgh Central Catholic kind of has a moving target for its home games.
But and that is a 7 o'clock start, right, Sean? Not 7:30?
Believe that is correct. Yep.
Okay. All right, just double checking.
I think the only 7:30 start will be the Penn Trafford game for the ones that we're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if Norwin,
North Allegheny, well, if they play at North Allegheny,
right? But this is at Norwin.
Sure. Yes.
Anyway, back to our regularly scheduled programming here. Greater Latrobe at Armstrong. The Riverhawks playing their first conference game. They were the team that was idle in the Big East last week. The Wildcats are 1-0. Freeport area at Burrell. Yellow Jackets have been very impressive. They are perfect. The Buccaneers playing their first conference game after that narrow loss last week against the Trojans. Our Lady of the Sacred Heart against Ligonier Valley. Rams looking to get off the schneid. Greensburg Central Catholic at Brentwood. That was a pretty good Spartans team last year. Remember, they took Jeanette to the wire. I think this will be a litmus test for GCC. Can the Centurions bounce back quickly after that loss against Clairton? They'll have to do so on the road at Brentwood. Monessen at Fort Cherry. We talked about how good the Rangers are. They are still undefeated at 4-0. Belle Vernon area at South Fayette. The Lions are 3-1. The Leopards are 1-2. That's the only team that's not at the halfway point, because this is not their fifth game. It is their fourth game of the season. Greensburg Salem at Ambridge area. Remember, it was Ambridge that snapped the perfect start for the Golden Lions last year. Well, this year, the Bridgers are 0-4. Mount Pleasant area at Laurel Highlands. A couple of 2-2 teams doing battle. Blackhawk at York. Blackhawk just 1-3, but they have battled against some pretty good teams, including Southmoreland a week ago. And Quaker Valley at Valley, as the Vikings looking to win their first game in a long, long time. And on the college side of things, Seton Hill at 2-1 travels across state to play Westchester. The Golden Rams are 1-1. That is a 2 o'clock kick on Saturday. And Saturday night, St. Vincent at Geneva. Bearcats looking to go above 500. Golden Tornado are 0-2. Flick, we got a lot of big games. We've got a lot on our airwaves. Mentioned we're now to the point that a lot of teams are playing conference games, some playing their second conference game. Starting to feel real now at this point of the season.
Yeah, conference play is here. It's always fun to begin the season, week 0. But once conference play starts, you look back at week 0 and you think, man, those games really weren't that important because obviously teams have come a long way since then. And now, there really is value in these games in terms of playoff seeding and everything else. So should be a lot of fun here. We have some interesting matchups, some matchups that, maybe teams will have to really dig deep in order to stay in games here. But that's kind of what the beauty is of it. You don't know what you're going to get until, late Friday night. So we'll see what happens.
And what else are you going to get late Friday night? You're going to get our video recaps.
Yes.
Of a lot of the games.
I get to do one. Do you think I'll remember? I tell everyone else to remember. I'll probably forget.
I'll send you an email. Maybe.
Bainbridge is going to have to film it for me, but he'll be gone by that point. Maybe Smith will do it for me. I don't know. I'm excited though to do my video recap for Friday. This is my brother did one on the field.
Yes, I actually like that.
Friday.
I thought he did a very nice job with that.
Behind me is where the Trojans scored their winning touchdown.
Some NFL Films music in the background.
Exactly.
Yep. Anything else that you want to plug before we sign off?
Just my video recap. Look for it on social media. No, certainly, during the week we have, I'm sure you're going to be debuting the 2025-26 Q&As coming up here soon.
I have a couple sent out, including a former Mount Pleasant football player.
Oh, okay. I think I know which one you might be. We'll talk off the air about that one.
I'll give you a little hint, but you can't reveal the answer. He has a very famous sister.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about, and I can't remember. I know who it is, and I can't think of the top of my head, but I thought that's who it was. Anyway, so Q&As are going to be coming up from Sean. We also, of course, have our Friday night high school football preview. You can kind of get your coffee brewing there, and Sean has breakdowns of all the games in the morning for you and throughout the day. And then, of course, you can take a look at our website, westmorelandsports.com, throughout the night for broadcasts, our scoreboard. Follow us on X for all of the Westmoreland County scoring updates throughout the night. And then, of course, all the recaps as well. And then on Saturday, we're actually going to be staying home doing Seton Hill women's soccer on Saturday. We will not be traveling with the Griffins football team, but good luck. Hopefully Seton Hill can continue, to win. They've won their last 2.
A chance to go to 3-1. That'd be awfully nice to come back and open conference play in the PSAC West with a record like that. Well, that's going to do it for this edition of Westmoreland on the Gridiron. A big thanks once again to Norwin head coach Mike Brown and Kimani Brown, our player of the week representing the Jeanette Jayhawks. But for now, Flick, we will put a bow on this one. We'll catch you again next week, Wednesday, 7 p.m. It'll be right here, Westmoreland on the Gridiron.
Good night, everybody. Enjoy the games.